Welcome back to the Takeout. Welcome to the Conversation Corner. We took note of this last week. A number of people, senior leadership positions, were fired from Stars and Stripes. It's a newspaper. The publisher, editor-in-chief, and a Middle East reporter all terminated by the Pentagon because of insubordination. A Defense Department spokesman declined to comment, but former editor-in-chief Erik Slavin says he was removed in part because of an interview he gave CBS Sunday Morning about censorship. Listen.
Do you have red lines in your mind?
Yes, I do.
Give me a red line.
Well, don't run a perfectly accurate story. Run this instead. Here it is, written by the Pentagon. That would be a red line.
Erik Slavin joins me now. Erik, I'm sorry this happened.
Thank you.
Would you ever take this job back?
Well, that's a hard thing to say. I received the notice of separation on Friday, and it was very unexpected. I woke up that morning and I started editing a story by Laura Cordy about U.S. naval family evacuees from Bahrain who have been waiting in limbo for the past 6 months for what the move is next. And then suddenly you've been separated for insubordination. So it was a real shock.
And do you believe, Erik, that your declaration to David Martin that what constitutes editorial independence was perceived by senior Pentagon leadership as an act of insubordination?
Well, I can only tell you what was in the document that they sent me, and it was specified as a charge, and it quoted me verbatim what you just saw on your screen. I gave a hypothetical response in my personal opinion as to what would be my red line, and I described censorship, which I believe to be in line with Department of Defense regulations and the law itself.
What does the Stars and Stripes do, and how did you understand your editorial leadership of it to make sure it could do the thing that it strives to do?
Stars and Stripes has a long, long history of independence. It traces its roots to the Civil War, but really the modern incarnation of it occurred during World War II. And General Dwight Eisenhower at the time was very specific. He said, hands off. This is the soldier's paper. Do not interfere. And so that is the spirit by which Stars and Stripes has operated for many decades. And I would never have thought that I would have been in this position.
Because soldiers, all military personnel, know that sometimes things go wrong, sometimes conditions are imperfect, and there's nothing seditious about explaining that or reporting that. They actually know through their military experience that when things are surfaced, sometimes things change for the better.
They hold us accountable every day. If we get something that doesn't correspond with their lived experience, they call us out on it real fast. Yeah. So we make sure that we're giving them the straight truth, that we are accurate, that we are as objective as humanly possible. And we never think really in terms of positive and negative, but I can certainly see why maybe the Pentagon would. But we don't shy away from that. We look for what's new, different, interesting, and relevant to service members.
Is there a larger trajectory here, Erik? And I ask because this leadership at the Pentagon went through a period of time where it exerted tremendous energy on removing people from the press room, bringing in people who were perceived to be more boosterish in their coverage of the Pentagon. It conducts far fewer briefings numerically, even though we are in a kinetic war. It provides prepackaged videos without any commentary or questioning of outside independent journalists. And now, what can only be described as a full-on assault at the editorial leadership of the Stars and Stripes. What is this larger picture?
Well, it's very concerning. We're at a moment in the world where we have conflict in Iran, Ukraine, hotspots in the Asia-Pacific. There's a real need for information about what the U.S. military is doing. And there used to be a time, like you said, where in the Pentagon, it was very simple for military officials to talk with journalists very frankly, sometimes on the record, sometimes on background, sometimes on the record. And I think it contributed to the nation's knowledge of what the U.S. military was doing, and I fear that we're losing that.
After these firings, the Navy Captain William Urban, who was tapped to serve as the deputy publisher, wrote that he, quote, received multiple assurances that the Office of the Secretary of War was committed to the editorial independence of Stars and Stripes. How do you interpret that?
Well, I can't speak to any conversations that he had. All I can say is, looking from the start, in January 15th, when a tweet was put out with zero warning regarding our operations, and a leak to a friendly outfit said that a whole bunch of our reporters were going to be fired and replaced with military members. How am I supposed to take that into account and square that with what's just been said? I'm not sure.
Right. It feels as if this once independent entity is losing that.
I certainly hope it can remain independent in some way. I haven't given up on that, but time will tell, and I think there needs to be a reckoning.
As is often said in Washington, on that score, the arrow is pointing downward. Erik Slavin, I appreciate your time very much. Thank you.
Thank you.